All right, you all. So for my grad school presentation, I had to do an action research project, which an action research project is just involves finding something like an intervention, for example, which is what I did on Lexia, and testing that intervention and seeing, did that intervention really work? What were the benefits from it? What were the negatives about it? So I chose Lexia because that's something that all of first grade is doing along with other grade groups in our school building. So that's the first part of this presentation. The second part is actually about a more PLC focused question, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so this school year, Mill Creek has adapted the Lexia computer program for all of KM1, and we also know that other grades are using Lexia too, but not everybody in the whole class. Based off last year's scores, that's why our grade is doing Lexia, because it was really, really needed. An intervention, an individualized computer program was needed based on last year's reading scores, because we know we have a lot of at-risk students, and this program we felt like was going to allow those students to succeed because it's very individualized and very to their level. So the main question is, will Lexia prove to be effective? That's really what I was testing to see. So as a first grade teacher, this was really important to me because we do have a lot of at-risk students in our school. Most of my class was below at the beginning of the school year where they needed to be leaving kindergarten. So that's why this was really, really important for me. And it was also important for me because it was an individualized program, and I really wanted to see if it worked. Did it really adapt to what the children needed? So let me see if I can start getting it from here. Yay. Okay, so I had to do a literature review, and I had to find articles that talked about Lexia and talked about computer programs and talked about them positively is what I was looking for, and seeing were they really beneficial in the classroom. So one of the articles I found actually talked about the correlation between Lexia and reading achievement, and it said besides improving phonological skills, increased concentration and increased confidence, 66% of struggling students increase their reading assessment scores. So that's huge. That's a really big number. That's more than half. So to me, I was like, wow, that was really important to me. Lexia software automatically adapts to meet the individual needs of each student. Besides doing that, Lexia also provides support materials, which I know you all know, but that's also what really interested me in this intervention program, and I'm really glad that we got this intervention program because it provides us with a lot of things that our students need. 90% of students feel positive about the program, and I know especially with my class, and I think you two can vouch for that too, a lot of my kids really, really enjoy getting on Lexia. They have since day one. They've been really motivated by it without me even having to do anything. They really want to get on. They're really excited to see themselves go up in levels. And so even according to a study done in 2013, 90% of students really liked it, which is a really, really high number, because any intervention that we know that all kids like is a good intervention. So another article I found talked about a study in 2011, and this was just about computer adaptive technology benefits. And this program said that it proved to be more beneficial for students who participated than for those that did not. It said that the program gave exercises for students specific to their needs, which is exactly what Lexia does. It exactly goes to their needs. No two kids are doing the exact same thing on Lexia at the exact same time. The use of the program gives early literacy skills to young and developing readers, and so that's what first grade is. It really is kids developing their reading skills and figuring out how to read on their own. So Lexia has, so far, everything that I've done in the study before even doing intervention-wise has proved that that's going to be beneficial for our kids. And then a third article I found was just about doing interventions for at-risk students, which, as I said, almost all of our kids are very, very at-risk reading-wise because they came to us very low. So spending time on a computer adaptive program intervention proves to be more effective than other interventions. According to the study in 2011, children at risk for falling behind in reading benefit from computer intervention at the beginning of first grade. So for us, that's been huge because that is when we started Lexia, was at the beginning of first grade. Now, it wasn't until January that we actually started doing the intervention twice a day, but we started at the beginning of this year, so I'm really glad that, according to this study, that's the most beneficial time, and that's exactly when we started Lexia. Individual materials to further development for at-risk students are needed, and Lexia does that. It gives you, materials per kid, per individual lesson that they're on for whatever they're struggling with. So whether that's beginning sounds, ending sounds, middle sounds, it pops up on your screen and it can show you exactly what the students need. So my research question was, what effect does the computer adapted program Lexia have on first graders' developmental reading assessment scores? And I know that's a mouthful, but DRAs for short is what developmental reading assessment scores are. But obviously that's how we test our students' individual reading levels. So I wanted to see, was there a correlation between Lexia and the DRA score? So my justification for this research was providing for at-risk students, which, as I've said a lot, that all of our students are at-risk. Computer adaptive programs provide individualized instruction, so I was really interested to see how that affected our kids. The program provides support materials for teachers, and the program connects to independent reading levels. So that's what I was really, really looking for. Is it showing in our kids' DRE scores? Is it making a difference or is it not? Okay, so this is my methodology. This actually shows what I tested, how I tested it. I made some graphs and things to kind of make it easier for you all to see, did it work or did it not work? So my sampling, obviously, I just did my class. I know you all are doing Lexia in your class too, but what I tested was just in my class. So I have 22 first grade students ages 6 and 7. I have 10 boys and 12 girls. I have 1 student with an IEP for orthopedically impaired, and 2 students with developmental delays, and 1 student with developmental delay speech. So that kind of is just an overview of my class. So these were the instruments or materials that I used. Obviously Lexia is one of them. This is a picture of one of my kids on Lexia. This is some of the support material that I actually was giving a student based on what they needed, and as you can see, the middle sounds are missing. So middle sounds are something that this particular student needed. She was doing well with the beginning sounds and well with the ending sounds, but getting confused on the middle sounds. So based on her Lexia lesson, I got to actually print support materials, and that is what I gave her. Let's see if this is the one where I needed to go to. Okay, so developmental reading assessment, this is what that looks like. I know that you all know because we do these a lot. But we gave one in December and at the end of January, and then we're doing them currently right now. I know snow days have kind of pushed us back, but I have a good chunk of my class done, and I think you all do too, so that's good. This is what Lexia looks like when you pull it up. This was a snapshot that I took a while ago, getting on twice weekly, and I'm actually going to show you all what mine looks like now. My computer's going to cooperate. Okay, maybe it's not. Okay, well, it's not going to cooperate. I don't know why. But you all know what Lexia looks like because you all get on it all the time. But basically, this is what it is. And over here, you can see this point. At this time, when I actually took this snapshot of data, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids that needed instruction. So it showed me exactly what these kids needed. It even has it broken up into areas, beginning sounds, middle sounds, and by grade level. So these kids up here are kind of still in kindergarten and first grade. You know, they need help with those concepts. Yes, thank you. And then the people towards the bottom are probably more on the first grade or second grade level. But if over here, if you click on this, it literally gives you the lesson. So it's super easy, super user friendly. This pie chart shows you exactly, you know, the predictor of how your class is doing. This was at the very beginning of January, and most of my class was still in the red, but the first time ever in January was that I'd seen this much yellow even. Because when we first started Lexia, almost all of my class was red, so they were, you know, very, very low. So even just in January, I saw a big difference, but I was gonna pull it up for you all again because now my green portion has gotten bigger and my yellow portion has gotten bigger, and this red is even getting smaller. So essentially that's what you wanna see is the red portion of your class, the kids that are below, getting smaller and smaller the more that you use it. But we know that we're getting on twice daily, Monday through Friday. So obviously, like I said, we're doing it for about 40 minutes because we're doing it 20 minutes each session and we're doing it twice. Students' progress is tracked twice a week. So what I've been doing is I've been really checking it on Tuesdays and Thursdays and trying to use those days to print support materials if I need to, so that way kids are getting it twice a week if they need to. So that way there's, several days in between where they can kind of work on things and figure things out. And then Tuesday, if they still need support materials printed, I'll print them. And then again Thursday, then I'll print them too. And I'll kind of pull those kids one-on-one, or if there's several and they need the same thing, I'll pull them in the same group. But I kind of use Tuesdays and Thursdays as my day to sort of pull kids as needed. And we also know the DRA, we gave it before we kind of started Lexia twice a day, and now we're giving the DRA again after we've started Lexia twice a day. So I put the individual scores of each of my kids. I didn't put their names, I just put student 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I put them in a graph, and you can kind of see how I did it in the beginning before intervention. So this was pre-intervention, meaning pre us doing it twice a day. We know we've done Lexia since the beginning of the school year, but this was my scores before we started twice a day. So as you can see, the average DRA score was a 3, so that was really, really low. Because you can see even my highest kid right here was on an 8, and he was my highest in my room. So my average score before we started twice a day was very low, an average of a 3. And like I said, student 16 had the highest with an 8, and students 5 and 12 had the lowest with a 1. So that's kind of extremes on my, I keep wanting to go back over there. Okay, so before starting Lexia, 18% of students were on reading level where they were supposed to be, which was at a 6 at the time. So that was only 4 students. So as a class, that showed me that they needed more individualized instruction. Most every kid, besides those 4 kids, really needed it. And even those 4 kids still needed it too, so they could continue to grow how they were supposed to. So there were 82% of students who were not on reading level. So that told me they needed individualized phonics instruction. They needed all of those things that we're hoping Lexia will provide. Okay, so this was post-intervention data, and this has been since we've started Lexia twice a day. Now, because of snow days, I haven't tested every single kid again on DRA, but most of my kids I have tested, and the rest will be completed as need be. But the average DRA score now is a 10, which is a lot higher than 3, so yeah, that's really exciting. And as you can see, obviously student 16, that was my highest in the first place, but he is really soared. So that shows that even Lexia, even though he was already where he needed to be, it still helped him because it still allowed him to go even above and beyond where he needed to be. But as you can see, I mean, okay, he's at a 38, so that's an extreme. But even all of these people, before it was starting at a 1, I mean, a lot of my averages now are up past 10. I mean, quite a few, or right at 10, really close. So, as together, they've all gone up a lot. So now 36% of students have been tested are on or above level, and that's an 18% increase. So you can even see here, I actually did it based on the pre-assessment and the post-assessment. And I mean, they grew a lot. 18% is a lot, considering I haven't even tested all of my class yet, and that number could also grow up. So just the fact that we're increasing there is huge and really, really important, I think, for this research. And then, to top it all off, 100% of students have grown. So every student, even if it was one level, has grown after intervention. So this kind of just shows you, this was the average. The average was a 3, now it's a 10. So that's, I mean, it is really huge when you see it in graph form and when you see it in number form. So just the fact that 100% of students are growing is really, really awesome, and to me shows that this intervention is working. students 5 and 12 showed the smallest gains by moving up only 1 DRA level, but these 2 students are also 2 of my students that have an IEP and show slower gains. So even the fact that they're moving at all is huge for them because they do have IEPs, they have other needs more than even what Lexia can provide. So the fact that they're moving too is awesome. Student 16 obviously showed the highest by moving up 15 DRA levels. So he really skyrocketed, and I do think a lot of it is in part of Lexia because it is so individualized, and it's got to really challenge him and made him even grow even bigger into an even better reader. So these are next steps that I want to have for my kids. So I just kind of wanted to get some ideas from you all about what next steps you think I can do to continue this intervention. So if anybody has any ideas, I would appreciate it. Of what you think we should keep doing. Or
Maybe
do
tracking like the, when you work with them, when you pull the lessons off Lexia and you pull them on Tuesday and Thursday, maybe tracking that data as well and seeing maybe what kind of effect.
That's a really good idea. I didn't think about that. So tracking the data from the kids that I pull on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And that'll hold your kids accountable when they do the work. They know, okay, I'm accountable on the computer, but also this is an addition to the computer, or, you know.
Yes.
Parent support, have you talked to parents?
Yeah.
Or sent home any work packets maybe?
Yeah. We
class?
actually did over winter break.
Oh,
We all
that's
sent
good.
home some
good.
based on our kids, you know, how they were doing on Lexia so far. But with spring break coming up, that would be another really good
Oh, yeah,
opportunity.
you can do like a bonus if you complete
Yeah,
whatever.
because I
percentage
know a
rate.
lot of our kids don't have, you know, computer access available at all times at home, so that could be a good thing too. But I really like that about, I did not even think about that, about doing the Tuesdays and Thursdays and tracking that data. So yeah, I think that's an awesome idea. So I think this is the end part. Okay, this is my reflection, just kind of what I talked about, how I felt, you know, after doing this whole action research. But I feel like that it really provided me with a way to test if Lexia was working or not, and looking up articles and stuff about it, seeing so much positive about it, and then me actually putting it into place and seeing if I felt like it was positive too, which I think that it was. And my future goal is to become a literacy specialist. That's what I'm getting my degree in at Cumberland's. And so me being able to do this on my own really helped me see, like, if I needed to do this at another school, if I was a literacy specialist here or at a different school, this provided me with a way to test an intervention, which is awesome. And, you know, this intervention was something that really worked for our school, but I might have to test other interventions based on other school needs, or if our school needs grow, you know, next year even. And these were my references for the articles that I found. And then this was the PLC focus question that I kind of talked about. So my question for this was, what challenges and strengths does the HORD survey reveal about the Mill Creek first grade PLC group? And the HORD survey was that survey that I had to email you all. We had 3 snow days in a row, and I emailed to you all. So that was a survey that you all took. So I kind of took the data that we got from that, put it into a graph, and kind of made next steps for us as a PLC group. So that was the second part of this. So this was the participants, which are you all. But 1 female principal, grades pre-K through 5, 5 years teaching experience in grades 2, 3, and 4. 1 Goal Clarity coach, grades K through 5, 2 years teaching experience in grades 5th and 1st. 1 female first grade teacher, 6 years teaching experience in grades K and 1. 1 female first grade teacher, 2 years teaching experience in grades 3 and 1. And then me, I'm also a part of this group, and this is my 3rd year teaching first grade, and 3rd year being here. So the HORD survey, obviously, like I said, I had to email to you all because we had all those snow days. But the reason that I chose this survey was because it kind of really went in depth with the learning community, our PLC as a learning community, and very specific parts of it. And you all got to rate how you felt on each kind of section. So I really, really liked that. And it showed what areas we're doing really well in and what areas we need maybe a little more work in as a PLC group. And so this is what the survey looked like. This was the first page. And as you can see, you could rate things from 5 to 1, which I'm happy to say nobody gave 1s on anything, so that's awesome. This was page 2, so you can see each section is different, and each section is actually broken up into parts A, B, C, and D. This is page 3, I believe, yes. And then, as I said, due to the survey, it had to be emailed, and you all emailed your results, and I kind of talked to you all some about your results too in PLC group. But this is, I put the results in a graph, so this was kind of each subsection. So this first one was administration shares powers with teacher. This was the average, so obviously I didn't do, 5 different little sections, but I just took all of our scores and averaged them together because I felt like that would probably be the easiest way to make a graph. So, we're pretty high on everything, as you can see. So we averaged a 4 on that, which is good, a 4 out of 5. Shared vision for school, all 3 of those subsections we got a 4 in, or we averaged a 4 in. Collaborative learning was the lowest, and I think a big part of that was because of we plan with our PLC group, but we don't necessarily always get as much time as we want to talk to kindergarten or to talk to 2nd grade. So I feel like that is probably why that one was the lowest. And you can see we got the highest, obviously, in school conditions and support sharing. So that was awesome. We actually, I think everybody gave 5s on that, and so that's why our average was a 5. So that was really good. And giving feedback, we got a 4 in too. And I think that will get even bigger also because now we've started doing peer observations. So it's not just, our principal and assistant principal observing us. We've got to do some peer things too. So this, I would be interested to see if we gave this survey last year. This was probably much lower. And then this year, now that we're getting to kind of observe each other more, it's gained a little bit higher. So the strongest areas are processes and procedures for collaboration, trust and openness among staff, caring and productive relationships. And I do feel like as a school and as a PLC group, we are really, really strong in those areas. So that was interesting that even though I only gave this survey to such a small group, we all tested high on that because I feel like anybody in the school would test high on that because I just feel like that's how we are as a school. The weakest area, we said whole staff interactions, student-centered educational issues, and discussing quality of student learning. And once again, I think that goes back to us being able to talk to Kay more and us being able to talk to 2 more. So teachers have been working together to create student assessments that are rigorous and match the standard each week, and that's something that this year I felt like we really have done a good job of focusing on in our PLC. And the principal and Go Clarity coach have been making feedback on assessments, which has been awesome for us because, we are knowing, is this rigorous enough? Is this actually matching the standard? And sometimes it's good to get someone else's perspective on that because we think we're doing it perfect and we're doing it the right way. And then sometimes we don't see things that other people do. So that's been really beneficial for us this school year. So I created some next steps that I felt like we could work with. And I said that I feel like we need to maintain creating assessments in PLC, maintain analyzing results of assessments, continue to plan interventions and enrichment activities. That's always something I feel like we can work on. And I feel like something else that we need to still work on is creating a criteria for success for each assessment. I know we've been working to do better on that, but we can always do better on that. There's always room to grow on that part of it. And also making sure that we're using that criteria for success when we're grading the assessments. That's a big part of it too. So not just creating it, but using it when we're actually grading. And I feel like vertical PLC meetings maybe is something that we could try and incorporate a little more if need be, just so we can really peel a standard and really see where are they coming from in kindergarten, where are they going to in 2nd grade. I know us 3 as a team, we do try and look at that sometimes, but I feel like we could even look at that more and even get to dig deeper into the standards. So, and then the last one, I already talked about that. Peeling a standard, yes. I think that would be really beneficial for all grades, not even just for us. So, my reflection about this portion of the Action Research Project is that I feel like it allowed our PLC members to be open and honest with strengths and weaknesses by giving the survey. It gave insight to how we can support each other and become stronger as a team. I feel like the next steps that I created for our school are pretty realistic. It's not anything that, we don't know that we need to work on, and it's all things that we are continuing to work on every day. vertical planning can be accomplished with more PLC time weekly or monthly. So possibly even if we can't meet with those people every week, maybe meeting with them every month. Like meeting with Kay and 2 every month, I think could possibly be beneficial. But I feel like communication is continuing to grow weekly among the staff. I feel like even in our staff meetings on Tuesdays, we've done an even better job of, just communicating as a staff. I feel like this year more than we have in past years. So, but that's always an area that we can grow on, and I feel like we are working to grow on that. So I'm excited to see how much better we get with that. But I think that's it. Yes, that's it. So thank you all for taking time out to listen, and I hope you all learned something that you didn't know. Thank you. Excellent. You go turn this on. Thank you all.